Travis Barker and DJ Am narrowly escaped death in 2008. Barker is an ex-drummer for the rock band Blink-182 and the star of the MTV reality show Meet the Barkers. DJ Am, real name Adam Goldstein, was an American DJ and record producer who scratched tunes for acts like Will Smith, Papa Roach, and Madonna. In 2008, Barker and Goldstein survived a horrific plane crash. During takeoff, air traffic controllers noticed sparks coming from the plane. Seconds later, the plane crashed through the airport fence, crossed the road, and went up a nearby embankment before being filled with flames. There was debris all over the runway. Out of the 6 people on board, the musical duo were the only 2 people to survive. Goldstein was released from the hospital after about a week, but Barker spent almost 3 months in the hospital recovering from the severe injuries and burns. In an interview, Goldstein stated, quote, "There's no reason why I lived and they didn't. It's something I struggle with every day." Tragically, only a year later, DJ Am was found dead in his New York City apartment due to an accidental drug overdose. Han Solo and Indiana Jones are both epic characters portrayed by one epic man, Harrison Ford. He's achieved worldwide fame for starring in movies such as The Fugitive, Blade Runner, and Air Force One. Ford is also an avid aviator who began flight training in the 1960s. On numerous occasions, he would personally provide emergency helicopter services to aid local authorities in rescue missions. But in March of this year, he needed an emergency rescue himself. Shortly after taking off in one of the vintage planes, the engine failed. After sending a mayday call back to the airport's tower, Ford tried to level the plane as it ascended. Unfortunately, he ended up crash landing on a nearby golf course. Reports indicate that he struck the top of a tall tree prior to impacting the ground. Bystanders at the scene said the plane dropped like a rock, and it felt like an earthquake. First responders said that Ford suffered trauma from a head injury, leaving his face bloody and bruised. The resilient thespian is no stranger to plane crashes, though. In 1999, he was piloting a helicopter with an instructor on a routine training flight when the helicopter landed hard and rolled over. When asked about the helicopter crash, he jokingly replied, quote, "I broke it." English actor Orlando Bloom rose to fame following his appearances in the Lord of the Rings movies and the Pirates of the Caribbean film series. Incredibly, the action-adventure film star has broken so many bones it's hard to keep track. On different occasions, he broke his left arm and cracked his skull 3 times, broke his nose playing rugby, broke his right leg skiing, broke his left leg in a motorcycle crash, and broke his right wrist while snowboarding. He also broke some ribs while shooting some scenes in The Lord of the Rings. But of all of the injuries he has sustained over the years, nothing compares to when he fell off a 3-story roof in 1998. He was trying to fix something on his friend's roof when the drain pipe he was climbing collapsed. Bloom fell over 35 feet to the ground, narrowly missing some rusty railings, and broke several vertebrae in his back. He was paralyzed for 4 days, facing the possibility of never walking again. He made a quick recovery and left the hospital with only crutches and a back brace. He has undergone multiple surgeries and 18 months of rehab to regain the strength in his back. After a year of wearing the brace, he graduated drama school, and only 2 days later, he scored the role of Legolas in Lord of the Rings. Stevie Wonder has become an icon of American musical creativity. Despite his visual impairment, he is an accomplished singer, songwriter, and record producer, often playing most of the instruments on his songs. Breaking into the music business at just age 12, the multi-platinum artist has produced hit after Grammy-winning hit, including Superstition and I Just Called to Say I Love You. But in the summer of '73, Wonder was mere moments away from death. While on tour in North Carolina, his car hit a logging truck, and pieces of the truck bed smashed through the car window and pounded Wonder right in the face, leaving him unconscious and bloody. Members of his band, traveling in the 2 cars behind, arrived at the scene and noticed immediately that Stevie was unresponsive, bleeding from his forehead and scalp. He was rushed to a hospital where doctors discovered Wonder had a broken skull and several brain contusions. He would spend 4 days in a coma, and as a result of the injury, he permanently lost his sense of smell smell and was left with a scar on the right side of his forehead. In an interview, Wonder explains that, quote, "What happened to me was a very, very critical thing, and I was really supposed to die." Despite the crash, Wonder was back in concert less than a year later. The incomparable Gary Busey played some amazing roles in the 70s and 80s. Busey is best known for his portrayal of a rock legend in the Buddy Holly story. He also played one of the primary antagonists in the smash hit action comedy Lethal Weapon. But in December of 1988, his life would be forever changed. Busey had just picked up his motorcycle at a repair shop when he slid on a patch of gravel at around 40 miles an hour. He then flipped over the handlebars and hit his unprotected head on a curb, fracturing his skull. The actor was not wearing a helmet at the time. He was rushed to an emergency room with a hole in his head the size of a $50. Doctors state that if he had arrived even 3 minutes later, he would not have survived. As it was, Busey fell into a coma for over 4 weeks. Doctors feared that he would suffer permanent brain damage due to the amount of internal bleeding. Busey survived the accident and is now an activist for helmets and injury prevention. The late great Pat Hingle was a veteran actor with more than 50 years worth of impressive work in theater, film, and television. He was perhaps best known for playing Commissioner Gordon in the first 4 Batman movies. Hingle actually cheated death in 1959 when he fell down an elevator shaft. He was stuck in a stalled elevator in his apartment building between the 2nd and 3rd floors. While trying to escape and climb to freedom from the elevator, he lost his balance and fell 54 feet down the shaft. He sustained massive injuries, including a fractured skull, wrist, hip, and leg, and several broken ribs. He also lost one of his fingers on his left hand. After this near-death experience, Hingle continued to star in numerous film and television roles for the following 40 years.